Okay, so Nikki, hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. So you've had quite a journey
Yes.
prior to meeting Dr. Wigoda.
Absolutely.
So why don't you start by just telling us, your first experience with plastic surgery and.
Okay. My first experience was actually in '97 with a surgeon in Hollywood who was recommended by a friend. I had breast implants done at that time. I was, very happy. The doctor's very nice, very pleasant, very caring. I think I say I was very happy because I didn't know any better. I always felt like they could look better because obviously we're in South Florida wearing bikinis all the time. But for the most part I was happy, never any complications. So in 2011 I needed to have them redone. I had some capsular contractions, some scar tissue, so they were getting hard. I looked up that doctor. He was no longer doing plastic surgery, but he said to me, when you're ready, let me know and I'll refer you to the best in the country. So he did. I took him at his word. I met this doctor.
Did you do any research?
I did not, in hindsight, obviously. Should have. But I think because I was so comfortable with my previous surgeon and I really trusted him and respected him. I mean, he did my mom's surgery. I referred probably 5 or 6 friends, including my mom, to my first surgeon. So I didn't have any reason not to trust him or believe that this guy was the best that he was sending me to. But from the beginning, I think you kind of get those feeling in your stomach, like maybe you should look into it, but I'm such a trusting, sometimes to the naive point, that I didn't want to question him because I felt like he was the authority and he knew what he was talking about. So he did my breast revision in 2011 in April, and at first they were okay, and then the implants started to fold on themselves and my breast was actually deformed. You could see the crease in my breast. So when I went back and I mentioned it to him, he said, no problem, we'll just add some saline. Like, it was no big deal. So we had to go, but of course this was going to cost me more money. They were charging me. So I had to go, and the guy that I spoke to that was in charge of the patient relations at this place said to me, well, you never should have had saline. You should have done silicone. And at that point I start crying in this guy's office because I specifically asked this doctor before he did them, should we go to silicone? Because it wasn't an option the first time. And he said, nope, we should do it exactly the same. So he said I could either pay $3,500 and have them switch to silicone, or I could pay the $900 and have them add saline.
So just to be clear,
Yes.
You were paying extra for the mistake they made?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And at this point, I actually had my wedding coming up in March. So this was in probably November by the time the crease got so bad that I went to go see him. So I took a couple weeks to think about it, figure out what I wanted to do, and it came pretty much to the point where I needed to do something because it showed in my wedding dress. So at this point, I'm like, just fill them up, do what you have to do. I specifically said to the patient relations manager that I didn't want them overfilled because I didn't want anything warranty-wise voided, so just they weren't filled to their maximum capacity, so they were just going to fill them to that, and he said it will fix the problem. So I go in to do that, and it was kind of chaotic. It was just one of those places. It just doesn't make you feel comfortable. The day I paid for the procedure and had to fill out the paperwork, I was in tears, and the nurse didn't understand why. But I think, like, in my gut, I knew something, like, it wasn't right. So during the procedure, I was awake, and I could feel them cutting my incisions open, and then they popped onto my implants. Sorry.
Do you want to stop?
But I think in an effort, at the time I thought she could tell I was in pain because I was crying, but I think in an effort to cover up what had happened, they ended up putting me to sleep, replaced my left implant, sent me home, never told me anything, never told me that there was any problems.
So they actually did things that you didn't even know that they did.
Correct.
During the surgery.
Correct. When I went back for my follow-up appointment, meanwhile my wedding was in 3 weeks, I went back for my follow-up appointment. The doctor didn't see me. He was supposedly in surgery. So they said another doctor or nurse would see me. The lady that walked in happened to be the anesthesiologist that was in that last procedure. Recognized me right away and said, "Oh, I remember you. I was the anesthesiologist." She said, "You had a really rough time." And I was thinking to myself, "Yeah, you think? Like, a little bit." And I asked her, I said, she didn't say anything. She said, "Oh, everything looks fine." I said, "What happened? Did they replace this one?" She said, "They nipped it while they were opening the incision, but they replaced it." That's all she said. Nothing else was ever said about it. So in the meantime, I was feeling like they looked different. I wasn't sure if maybe they put in a different shape, a different type. So somebody instructed me to go to them and get my medical records, which I did. I had to pay $100 for all the medical records, which at that point was fine. I had already given them lots of money for things, so I got them, and in the surgical report it says nowhere in there that they replaced an implant. It says nowhere that one was popped. It says repeatedly lies in the surgical report. Patient is resting comfortably, patient is tolerating procedure well, added 30 cc's to the left, added 30 cc's to the right. That's exactly what it says in the medical report, which is
actually
lies,
not what happened?
which is not what happened. And actually they overfilled them, which is what I didn't want either. And it made them rock hard. Like, I was in so much pain and uncomfortable, it looked like I had 2 grapefruits under my skin. And even to this day, I look at my wedding pictures, and that's what I see. I see like these round, like hard boobs in my...
Almost like the pictures that you see, like what you don't want to do if you get breast implants.
It's literally like they slid an orange under there. That's what it looked like. So this was in March of 2012, so March this past year. So needing to do something, I had talked to a few different friends who have recently had their breast augmentation done and were very happy. One of them being my neighbor who referred Dr. Wigoda. I came to meet with him along with a few other surgeons because I was like not making the same mistake twice, not taking one person's word for it. Met several doctors. Dr. Wigoda just really stood out to me. He was very, very confident. Everybody in the office was great. Maria, I always felt comfortable when I was here. I didn't feel like there was anything, you know, I never got that uneasy feeling. I also felt like he kind of sympathized a little bit with the things that I went through before, and kind of understood that a little bit, which made me feel even better. And I just am so happy that I chose him.
Okay.
Incredibly happy.
So how long ago did you have your surgery with Dr. Wigoda?
Yesterday.
Okay, so you had your breast implant surgery yesterday.
Yes.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Amazing. Like, not even just physically, like emotionally. Like, amazing. But my last surgeries, I was in bed for probably a week. Couldn't sit up by myself in bed for probably 2 to 3 days. Like, literally my husband had to like push me from the back to help me sit up. After a week still, my husband had to wash my hair for me in the shower. I couldn't lift my hands, and now, I mean, you know, I curled my hair to come here today. So
you did your hair yourself?
Yeah, I did my hair, I did my makeup, I got dressed. I mean, this would have been me maybe after 10 days from the last surgery, not 24 hours later. Like, I left here just over 24 hours ago, and I feel amazing.
How do you feel about the results of your surgery and your breast compared to when you went into surgery yesterday?
Oh, there's no comparison. I mean, I can't even explain to you. When Dr. Wigoda had me look in the mirror, I cried. Like, it was amazing.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you want to add? Like, if you had to give somebody advice on getting plastic surgery, you know?
Definitely do your research. I mean, had I done my research beforehand with my first plastic surgeon, I never would have went there. And follow your gut. I mean, if I would have at any point questioned anything or got a second opinion, it would have changed. I could have ended up here 2 years ago and had these then for my wedding and my pictures and been happy. And Dr. Wigoda is amazing. He knows what he's doing. He's so confident, and you know, it shows in his work. And Marie is beyond comforting.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. It helps other people in making their decision or not making a decision and making the right decisions.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.